What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Linda Cohn Show. You know, the WNBA gets an A for ignoring the obvious and slaying the golden goose yet again. Why does it sometimes feel like parts of the WNBA media are fighting against their biggest attraction? Yeah, the biggest attraction is Caitlin Clark. Yeah. Yes, Clark isn't the only great player. I know this. We all know this. From Asia Wilson to Paige Beckers to Olivia Miles, there are many great players in the WNBA. We all get that. We all get that you want to promote them. Go ahead, promote them. I'm not saying don't promote them, but here's what I think. The WNBA and some of the media surrounding the WNBA gets this completely backwards. How do they do that? Let me tell you. You don't promote other stars instead of Caitlin Clark. You promote other stars through Caitlin Clark. That's right. There's a huge difference. Follow me here. Because whether people like it or not, Caitlin Clark brought an enormous new audience to women's basketball. This is not breaking news. You already know this. People who weren't watching the WNBA, guess what they're doing? They're watching now. People who couldn't name five WNBA players a few years ago, what are they doing? They're buying tickets. That's right. They're watching games on TV and they're arguing about this league. They're having debates about this league on social media. Isn't that what the WNBA wanted for years and years? So why would you fight it? That is the big question. Get a load of who the ESPN halftime crew focused on Sunday in the game between Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever and Angel Reese and the Atlanta Dream. By the way, Angel Reese was 3 for 10 from the field at the time. Roll it, Dominic.
Reese, in particular, her energy shifted. I thought when she got some of those easy baskets to go in the paint that, quite frankly, she had struggled with to open the ball game, that's when you saw this defense begin to pick up its energy, this Dream Squad to begin to play with a little bit more confidence.
Yeah, athletes know it's not how you start, it's how you finish, and that energy is contagious because if you look at Angel Reese, she already has 7 and 9. She's already getting close to a double-double, but then also, if you think about, on the other side here, you're seeing the Indiana Fever, they're just being a little bit methodical as well because I like these good to great plays. You see Caitlin orchestrating. It's like both sides are leaning into their strengths on this one.
Let's go back to Angel really quickly, though, because she was part of the catalyst that you saw to be able to change things around. And she said to Holly, I just feel like I needed to take a deep breath and maybe stop overthinking some of these.
Oh, I've been there. I've been there. Like sometimes the basket is too open.
Right.
She's used to getting double teams. She's used to triple teams and she's used to contact. And so sometimes when you see her, like, wait, what's coming? You want to look over your shoulder. But she settled into the game well. And what I
Yeah, I mean, really, Angel Reese triple teamed a lot. And Monica McNutt started that conversation talking about Angel Reese. But that's not all. So after the Fever came back to win that game in overtime, thanks to great playmaking and clutch free throws by Caitlin Clark to lock up the win, here's Andrea Carter on ESPN SportsCenter sharing her difference maker while also giving a head-shaking excuse for Atlanta's loss, listen closely, and not calling out Angel Reese for missing an easy game-winning bucket at the end of regulation, even though the video of that miss was playing while Andrea Carter was talking. Roll it, Dominic.
This game is officially titled the Mikayla Timpson game. For Mikayla Timpson to have 20 points, she had 12 points in the first half. She was 5 of 6 from the field in the first half, and that was pivotal because Kelsey Mitchell was limited in the first half. So Mikayla Timpson held on strong with her scoring. She ends up with a career-high 20 points, and that ends up being the separator. If you go look at the final box score of this game, the big three from each team scored 64 points. The big threes canceled each other out, so it was all about who else was going to step up outside of the big three. And for Mikayla Timpson to have the day that she did on the road, it's going to give her more confidence. It'll give her teammates even more confidence in her, and she's become a huge piece for this team. Absolutely.
Yeah, well, we wanted that to roll more, but, Dominic's not perfect. But Andrea Carter went on to make an excuse about Jordan Canada not being with the Atlanta Dream, which is why they lost the game. That's not why the Atlanta Dream lost the game. Angel Reese missed an easy layup, which would have been a game-winning bucket at the end of regulation. And also one thing that I've learned over the years, when you analyze sports, you don't talk about the players that aren't there. You talk about the players that are on the court or on the field. That is who you talk about. You don't make excuses for another team saying Jordan Canada. We're not talking about that she's Asia Wilson and she didn't play for, her team. We're talking about Jordan Canada for the Atlanta Dream. So there's that. I heard my former ESPN colleague, Rick Bucher, asked a valid question on social media the other day. I think it was Sunday. He asked, why are all WNBA crews made up of women? He said it's like a girls' club. I get where he's coming from, but here's the thing. You can't assume putting a man on that panel that you will get the diversification of voices and opinions if you do. Give a listen to someone named Myron Metcalf, who was on First Take Monday morning. Roll it, Dominic.
Olivia Miles is the MVP of the WNBA. She should be. And that's no disrespect to Asia Wilson. Caitlin Clark has been surging. Kelsey Mitchell is really good. But if you're talking about MVP, most valuable player, it has to be Olivia Miles. Everyone's going to say that Nafisa Collier's come back and she looks good. Of course she does. But before Fee was back, Olivia Miles still had the Minnesota Lynx at the top of the WNBA standing. They were still set to be the number one seed in the playoffs before she ever came back. So you are talking about a player who I think deserves that award. We don't like to give MVP to young players, and I think we got to get rid of that mindset because Olivia Miles is your MVP in the WNBA right now, and I don't think there's a lot of discussion about it.
For good reason. Olivia Miles will win Rookie of the Year. She's not the league MVP. Sorry, Myron Metcalf. Anything to avoid the obvious. Let's go back in time right now. I want to make a comparison why the WNBA has missed the boat on this. When Magic Johnson and Larry Bird, you remember them, they helped explode the popularity of the NBA. When that happened, did the league say, wait a minute, we're talking too much about Magic and Bird. Let's pull back on them. Let's pull back a bit so we can make sure everybody gets equal attention. No, the NBA didn't do that. They put Magic and Bird everywhere. And guess what happened? People started learning about everybody else in the NBA. The NBA exploded. It was must-see TV. And then Michael Jordan came along. Did the NBA say at that time when MJ came along, Michael's getting too much attention. We need to take some of that spotlight away from him and give it to Patrick Ewing and give it to Charles Barkley. Of course they didn't say that. They put Michael Jordan in the brightest spotlight they could find. And Barkley became a star. Ewing became a star. Karl Malone became a star. Reggie Miller became a star. You get the trend here? There's a lesson here. When your biggest star makes the pie bigger, everybody gets a bigger piece. That's what Caitlin Clark has done for the WNBA, and that's what Caitlin Clark continues to do for the WNBA. And here's what makes the resistance to her popularity even more fascinating. Caitlin Clark is not walking around demanding you talk about her. She's doing the opposite. She's not saying this is my league. She talks about her teammates. She talks basketball. And when she's dragged into controversies that have nothing to do with basketball, most of the time, she'd rather not talk about it. And she shies away from it. The fans made this decision. The audience makes this decision. You can debate whether Caitlin Clark is the best player in the WNBA. I get that. You can debate whether she's the MVP. I get that too. I love these debates. These are basketball debates. But her impact on the popularity of this league, that's not much of a debate. And acknowledging Caitlin Clark's impact does not diminish Asia Wilson, does not diminish Olivia Miles, does not diminish Paige Beckers. In fact, it's the exact opposite. Caitlin Clark's enormous popularity gives the WNBA an opportunity to make all of these women bigger stars. Once again, it is common sense. So instead of constantly worrying about whether Caitlin is getting too much attention, why don't you use that attention? Use it. The WNBA spent decades asking America, pay attention to us, pay attention to our league. Well, America is paying attention now. And if one player helped open that door wider than it's ever been before, don't resent her for it. Don't minimize it. Don't try to manufacture somebody else to replace her in the spotlight. Just use the spotlight. And then walk every other great player in this league right through that door with her. Why is this so difficult to understand? Maybe you can help me. Tell me in the chat box. Oh, speaking of Caitlin Clark, because I can't get enough of it, because I saw all this and it got my attention. Now, I don't have an MVP vote, but if I had an MVP vote, I'd vote for Caitlin Clark. And I know exactly the kind of season A'ja Wilson is having. She's been spectacular this season. A'ja Wilson is, averaging over 26 points, 9.5 rebounds. She's doing great. And of course, she's one of the best defensive players in basketball. So this is not about tearing A'ja Wilson when I say this. This is about one word, valuable. What does most valuable player actually mean? I know we have this debate in all of sports, but I'm bringing it up again. Because after another huge performance Sunday, 26 points and 9 assists for Caitlin Clark, a big road win in Atlanta in overtime, Caitlin Clark is now averaging close to 22 points a game and just over 8 assists a game. And those numbers still don't completely explain what she does for the Indiana Fever. Valuable. Clark doesn't just score. No, she creates the offense. She controls the pace. She stretches the defense in the set every time she, crosses half court. And most importantly, nobody knows what she's going to do. I mean, what is she going to do? Is she going to hit a basket from 30 feet? Is she going to distribute? But the most significant impact that Caitlin Clark is making, her team's winning. Her team is winning early and often. The Fever have now won 4 in a row. They've won 11 of their last 14, last I looked. This isn't just the Caitlin Clark popularity story anymore. Forget the TV ratings, forget the jersey sales, forget the commercials. I mean, I'm talking basketball. Let's compare the 2 MVP candidates. Yes, right now, A'ja Wilson is in the lead, but Caitlin Clark is right there. A'ja has the advantage in rebounding, the defensive advantage, sure. But Clark has a huge advantage in one area that is really enormous to me. What is that? She runs the entire show. Those 8.3 assists she's averaging, they aren't just a number. Every one of those assists creates points for somebody else on her team. Every possession begins with a defense asking, as I mentioned earlier, what is Caitlin Clark going to do? Pull up from 30 feet and hit the 3. Is she going to attack the basket? Is she going to give it up to Boston? Or is she going to give it up to Kelsey Mitchell? And lately, when Indiana has needed her the most, Clark has delivered another road victory, as I mentioned, Sunday in Atlanta, another game where she's controlling the offense. So here's my MVP question. Take Caitlin Clark off the Indiana Fever. What are they? What are they? That's what value means to me. I'm not voting for Caitlin Clark because she's the biggest star in women's basketball. No, I'm not voting for her because she sells tickets. I'm not voting for her because millions of people tune in to watch her. She's appointment viewing. No, that's not why I would vote for her. I'm voting for her for what she does on the basketball court. A'ja Wilson might have better stats, but MVP doesn't stand for best statistical resume. It stands for most valuable player. And if Caitlin Clark keeps playing like this, if Indiana keeps winning like this, then I have one question for everybody who says she is not the MVP. What else does Caitlin Clark have to do? Please tell me. Please fill me in. Caitlin Clark has my MVP vote, even though I don't have an MVP vote. If only I had one, but I don't have one. By the way, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention this. I've been noticing a change in Stephanie White, the head coach of the Indiana Fever. She's been ridiculed, and I've been blaming her, not supporting her players, and just kind of being an angry woman. I've also complimented her in her coaching ability. She's still a good coach, really good coach. And I saw that Sunday with her moves that she made when it mattered most. But I've been noticing the last couple of games for the Indiana Fever in her post-game press conferences, very supportive of certain players, especially Caitlin Clark. I've been noticing Coach White. I really have. And I love what I see. Not that you're out to please me, but I made a vow. If I saw a change in Stephanie White, I would mention it. And I'm mentioning it now. And the Indiana Fever, very smart in posting this on social media. White addressing her players after Sunday's overtime win. Roll it, Dominic.
A hell of a job in the second half, but especially in the fourth quarter. 17-9. Held them to 9 points. 9 points. In the second half, they had 0 fast break points. They had 7 second chance points, but we had 12. They were 13 for 13 from the free throw line. We were 14 for 15. Okay? 22 points for us off of turnovers. 22 points for us off of turnovers, y'all. That was just an excellent display of toughness, of discipline down the stretch, of weathering storms and runs. That is playoff basketball, right? The micro adjustments that we're going to have to make, KK, we throwing you in a whole bunch of... DC, what the... That defense was outstanding. Outstanding.
I love that. I love seeing that. I loved hearing that. It was fantastic. I know they won, so there's a lot of, support. But even when they were winning, Stephanie White, I never saw her like that. So kudos to Stephanie White. Kudos to the Indiana Fever for putting that out there, because I think that's great. And you know what? Keep that up, Coach White, because all of that good karma, everything you're doing there, it's going to come back in a rewarding way. And I think it already has. Love to hear what you think. Put your comments in the chat box. Love to hear what you think on all this. And any questions, ask me at the end of the show. Ask Linda segment. Okay. On to Jayden Daniels, shall we? Yeah. Mother doesn't always know best. And I'm saying that as a mother. Jayden Daniels is 24 years old. He's the franchise quarterback for the NFL's Washington Commanders. He's a grown man. He's building his own career, his own life, his own identity. And his mother, Regina Jackson, is deeply involved in both. She's not just Jayden's mom. No way, no how. She's his business representative. She, by the way, gave her blessing for this whole number 5 jersey fiasco with LSU that made her son really currently making him a laughingstock. It's so sad. Bad advice by mom. And she also has been very involved in protecting him in his personal life, including who he surrounds himself with and who may have access to him. And I have to tell you, as a mom, that's where I start to have a problem. I have a son, I have a daughter. I love my kids more than anything else in this world. I would protect them with everything I have. But I would not want to be my son or daughter's business manager. And I would definitely not want to be managing their personal life. Why? Oh, so many reasons why. Because at some point, you have to let your children become adults. And that doesn't mean you stop being a mother. No, you don't stop being a mother. It doesn't mean you stop giving advice. No, you don't stop giving advice. It doesn't mean you stop worrying. Oh, believe me, I never stop worrying. I'm a big worrier. It doesn't mean you stop picking up the phone when your son or daughter calls you and says, Mom, I don't know what to do. Of course you help. You want to help. But there's a difference between being there for your child and being in charge of your child's life. Did I mention Jayden Daniels is 24 years of age? At some point, shouldn't he learn to navigate the world by himself? Shouldn't he learn who he can trust, who he can't trust? He's got to learn that by himself. Shouldn't he be allowed to make mistakes? Maybe he gets involved with somebody who isn't good for him. Maybe he makes a bad business decision. Maybe he gets taken advantage of. Maybe he gets his heart broken. Those things hurt. It's part of life. You got to experience those things. That's how we grow. That's how they grow. Because here's what I believe. You can't protect someone from every bad decision without potentially preventing them from learning how to make good decisions. Regina Jackson was a guest recently on the Pivot podcast. Roll it, Dominic.
Your dollar amount is associated with your name. So you never know who really is there for you and who's really against you. And our thing is like, I want Jayden to date. I don't want everybody to say I'm putting it on record. My son can date. He can live freely, makes his own decisions. However, the relationship we have, he does value my opinion because, you know, when my kids were little, I did a lot for them. So, and my kids saw that. My father, my background, I worked too hard to allow anybody at any moment to come in and just, you know, take it away. So I have a view of what I feel a good person is. Mm-hmm. And, you know, but my son is 24 and he does have to go through things and he has to learn on his own. And, you know, he's a great kid and I'm thankful for him. He's, you know, not like some of these other guys, you know, he's really to himself. He's a homebody. He just really is. He's really loves sports. Like he really is. So I'm trying to work on his afterlife after sports because at some point it does end. And I don't want him to just be like, now what do I do? So I want to keep him involved in the world and, you know, have opened up a lot of doors. Like I'm in charge of his foundation.
Now, I want to be fair to Regina Jackson. I understand her motivation. She's a mother. She loves her son. She wants to protect her son. She knows the world of professional sports can be ruthless. We all know that. There are people who want access to athletes because of their money, because of their fame, because of their connections. She actually believes she is protecting Jayden. And I understand that instinct. I truly do. But I also believe there's a point where a parent has to say, I've done my job. I've raised you. I've taught you. Now I have to trust you. And that's really what this story is about for me. It's not about whether Regina loves her son enough. She clearly does. It's not about whether Jayden trusts his mother. He clearly does. And it's certainly not about whether she has his best interests at heart. I'm sure she believes she does. The question is, at 24 years of age, does Jayden Daniels need his mother protecting him? Or does he need his mother to trust him enough to protect himself? Yeah. There's another issue here too. When your mother becomes your business representative, how do you separate the business from the family? I mean, a professional agent can sit across a table from you and say you are wrong. A professional agent can tell you this is a bad deal. A professional agent can push you to make a difficult decision. And then that agent goes home. But then if it's mom as your business rep and your agent, you go home with mom. You're sitting in the car talking about it. And then that's where I wonder where the lines get really blurred. Yeah. Again, I'm not saying Regina Jackson is doing something wrong. I'm not. Maybe this arrangement works perfectly for mom and Jayden. Maybe it does. Maybe he wants his mother involved this much. Maybe her instincts have protected him from things we don't even know about. Maybe. But I'm speaking from my own experience as a mother. I have a son. I have a daughter. I love them both very much. And I've had to learn that one of the hardest parts of being a parent is knowing when to step forward and knowing when to step back. Because you don't raise your children so that they need you forever. No. You raise them so eventually they don't. And that's hard. Even me saying that, that's hard to hear. I know. But sometimes the greatest gift a mother can give her adult child is not protection. No, it's trust. That's right. The greatest gift a parent, a mom can give their child, not protection, it's trust. So that's my question right now. Is Regina Jackson doing what any loving mother would do? Protecting her son in an unforgiving world? Or is there a point when protecting your child becomes preventing your child from learning how to protect himself? Jayden Daniels is 24. He's not a little boy anymore. He's a man. And maybe maybe it's time to let him be one. What do you think? Do you agree? Let me know in the chat box. Shoot me a question and ask Linda at the end of this show. Hey, it's not trading for Max Crosby, but it isn't bad. I'm talking about the Dallas Cowboys' latest move. Let me tell you why I find the Von Miller signing with the Dallas Cowboys so interesting. Because this isn't about bringing back the Von Miller we remember from the Denver Broncos, that explosive, dominant pass rusher who terrorized quarterbacks left and right, won a Super Bowl MVP. This is about something very different with this. Yeah. It's about taking a 37-year-old future Hall of Famer who remarkably is still capable of getting to the quarterback and putting him on a Cowboys defense that desperately needs that. Let's put into perspective just how bad Dallas was defensively last season. Hide your eyes, Cowboys fans. You already know this. The Cowboys gave up 511 points last season. That's 30.1 points per game, dead last in the NFL. And 511 points. Dallas also finished 30th in total defense and last in passing defense. Think about that. The Cowboys, of course, had one of the better offenses in football. They scored 471 points, good for 7th in the league. They only won 7 games. So this wasn't a team that could not score. It was a team that couldn't stop anybody. And that's why Von Miller makes so much sense to me. Now, don't misunderstand what I'm saying, okay? I'm not expecting, again, Von Miller to suddenly become the 2015 version of Von Miller. He's 37 years of age. But look at what he did last season at 36 with Washington. He played a rotational role, if you remember. He wasn't an every down player. He still produced 9 sacks in 17 games. That's the part I really like about this signing for Dallas. Don't ask Von Miller to play 60 snaps a game. That's not going to happen. Don't ask him to be your everyday down pass edge rusher. That's not happening either. Give him 25 to 35 snaps a game. That's it. Keep him fresh. Put him on the field when you know the other team has to throw the ball. You know, 3rd and long, 2nd and long, 2-minute situations, end of half situations. That is where Von Miller can really excel. That's when he comes after the quarterback. He knows how to rush the passer. And now think about him now going to be alongside on that line, that defensive line with Rashawn Gary, who came over via the Packers. That's where this really gets fun and interesting and exciting for a Cowboys fan. I mean, Rashawn Gary is going to be the primary edge rusher. He's younger. He's going to play more snaps. He's the man. He's the anchor of the new look defense. But imagine a 3rd and 8, and you got Gary and you got Von Miller coming at you if you're an opposing quarterback. It isn't pretty. Who do you block? Who do you block? You might go with Gary, but that'll make Miller produce even more. He doesn't have to be the best pass rusher on the field anymore, Von Miller. No way. He just has to be good enough to make the opposing quarterback uncomfortable, and he can still do that. And he doesn't have to save the Dallas defense. They just need him to make the defense better. That's it. That's it. It's pretty easy. I mean, he's been there. He'll bring that veteran leadership. He's a 2-time Super Bowl winner. I already mentioned he won a Super Bowl MVP. He's been in every kind of pressure situation. And now he's coming home to Dallas. Texas A&M alum, joining a defense that has been dramatically rebuilt. We all know this. This is great. This is so great for Dallas. Von Miller doesn't have to be the savior. He's not the savior, but a veteran pass rush weapon who can make a really bad defense a lot more dangerous. And considering where the Cowboys were just a year ago, isn't that a great place to start? And I have a feeling they're not done either. I think they're looking at some corner help as well, but we'll see what happens. And I still think, even before this move to get Von Miller, I still think Dallas is good enough to win the NFC East. All right, it's that time. What do you think? Let me hear it. Time for Ask Linda. I'm ready for your questions. Bring it on in, Dominic. There he is.
What's up, Linda? Good
Not
stuff.
much. How's it going?
Oh, it's
Sorry,
great.
I didn't mean to throw you under the bus. Some
Oh,
of
that's
those
all right.
videos,
No,
though, they
I
were
am the
just sort of like
producer.
cut off the parts that I was like wanted the people to hear. So I was like, she must be crazy. What's going on? They never said that. That's all.
That's right. I'm the producer, so yeah, no, you got to throw me on the bus. I'm good with it.
Okay.
It's the name of the job. So that's the gig I picked up here.
You can handle it.
Oh yeah, 100%. Okay,
right, what do we got?
Linda. Yeah, a lot of the chat here was on the same wavelength as you, so they asked some questions that you already answered for them. So we only have a couple here. One's a comment and one is a question. This comes from Max. He asks you, do you know why Monica McNutt, Andrea Carter, and Shanae go out of their way to minimize Caitlin Clark? What do you think of that there? There was a lot of discourse in the chat about that halftime segment.
Yeah, there sure was. I mean, it lit up social media. That's why I wanted to include it. I have nothing against those women. They're all nice women. I always got along with them. But I think Shanae, I don't kill her. I think, I've heard more minimizing attempts by Andrea Carter and Monica McNutt, minimizing attempts of Caitlin Clark's performance, ignoring it. I see it more from them. Shanae was basically the only one that mentioned Caitlin Clark by name. If you noticed in that clip, she acknowledged it. The other two may believe Caitlin Clark didn't exist. And yeah, listen, I mean, other players on the Fever and the one they mentioned, and even Caitlin Clark gave a shout out to her. It was exciting to see other players perform on the Fever. But that was the first half when the Fever weren't looking their best, if you remember. Second half, especially the fourth quarter, it was Caitlin Clark distributing, playmaking, hitting clutch free throws that led them back, and they pulled off a gutsy win. Caitlin herself said that it was a B- game for them, but they still found a way to win. So I can't understand why those two women do what they do. The only thing I could think of is that, and this is just me spitballing here, but the only thing I could think of that makes any sense if I try to get into their minds is that they want to applaud and make sure people don't forget that it was African-American women that built the WNBA, that created the WNBA in their minds, that, all of the old-time greats, the Lisa Leslies of the world, the Cheryl Swoops. I can go on and on and on, and I'm in agreement with them. But as I mentioned in my monologue, you don't have to ignore or diminish what's going on right now to pump up others. There's enough praise to go around. There are so many great, how many times do I have to say it? I say it. There are so many great players in the WNBA. There's no reason to kick Caitlin Clark to the curb while you raise the stature, or in some cases, create a narrative that they are doing great. And that's what pisses people off, Dominic.
You create stars through Caitlin Clark, like you said earlier. And I think that's the perfect way to put it, because you want more eyes on your product. And you do have other stars there besides Caitlin Clark. She is the star. Make other stars through her, like you said.
Right.
This also pertains to kind of what you were talking about earlier. And our friend Myron, he also brought up Miles there, Olivia Miles.
Yeah.
Jeffrey here, he asks, or he has a comment here. He just says, Lynx already a contender without Miles. They would have had the exact same record without her. So what do you think of that? Do you think, I mean, obviously she's an incredible rookie, but yeah, the Lynx were already pretty darn good too, right?
Right. And then, I know Nafisa Collier was hurt. She's back, I believe. And, Minnesota is another title contender. There is no question about it. And yeah, everybody wants to get excited for Olivia Miles, as they should. She will win Rookie of the Year. That's fine. She's not winning MVP. Why do people have to go out of their way to just create some, as I mentioned, some kind of narrative? I know I sound like a broken record. It's common sense. There's enough to go around. As I made the analogy with the NBA. The NBA hierarchy back in the day in the 80s saw what they had in Magic Johnson and Larry Bird, and they didn't say, oh, we're talking about them too much. We better stop promoting them because we're not giving attention to these other players in the league. They didn't go by that philosophy that the WNBA does. And look at the NBA. All it did was lead to their explosive popularity. And that was a big reason why they just boomed. And same the pattern with Michael Jordan, all the stars that followed after Bird and Magic.
Yeah, as a sixth grader, I was like, you're giving me too much Michael Jordan. I need to back away from this.
Right. And the thing The thing is, he was in every commercial because I hear some people saying, "What more do you want, Linda? She's in every commercial." Don't blame her for that.
Right. And hey, this is a side thing, but like her shoes, they haven't really done a great Nike hasn't done a great job at promoting her shoes. Let's be
No,
honest.
great point.
Mhm.
Great point. It's unbelievable. Who are
Right.
you afraid of insulting? Come on, Nike. What you can't have it both ways.
Yeah.
I would love a pair of Caitlin Clark shoes, but
Me too.
I'd be afraid to wear it. I put it up on a pedestal, because I don't want to get it dirty.
I want to be like Mike. I want to cook like Caitlin. That's what I want to do.
Oh, good one. Nice.
Thanks.
Be like my cook
right
like
off the
Caitlin.
top. Yeah.
That's original. Very good. All
Thank
right,
you.
cool. All right, excellent. Listen, great show today. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for everyone watching. We're close to 20,000 subs. That's right, 20,000 subscribers. Can't thank you enough. Keep it going. Share, like, subscribe. We're just having fun here. Glad you're aboard for this journey and all of it. Thursday, we'll be back with a live show, but subscribe to the channel. You won't miss any clip. You won't miss a beat. You won't miss anything I say if you are a subscriber. Thursday, my son Dan is back with his NFL betting tip, NFL fantasy tip, and anything that is on his mind. Dan and Fourth and Dan will be joining me Thursday. A week from Monday, that's a week from today, if you're seeing it today, the amazing Lewis Howes. That's right. School of Greatness podcast. What a story. What a journey for Lewis Howes, one of the biggest inspirations out there. Look him up. He's going to be my guest in a week. Can't wait for that. But that'll do it for this edition of the Linda Cohn Show. Have a great night, everyone. See you soon.